I thought I'd take a little bit of time today to talk to you guys about security's favorite topic, which is developers, right? We all love our developers. We have no conflicts with them at all, right? That they're the ones that really help to accelerate our AppSec journey. But realistically, they're a huge important part of developing a proper AppSec program, right? And so without understanding the developer challenge, we can't really get to understand how we go about using AI or anything else to facilitate an AppSec program. So today I'll talk a little about that. We'll talk a little about how we can help overcome that challenge and help them accelerate and be part of that conversation. And then we'll go into what AI can bring to that at all, right? And so the developer challenge. When we start talking about developers, one of my good friends comes to mind. So I've known this guy since high school. He's been a developer for 8 years, and I was sitting at my Thanksgiving table, and he calls me freaking out. He said, "Hey, I just got a call from my boss. He says, when I get back from my break at Thanksgiving, we're going to have to implement all these security scanning tools that I just don't understand. I don't know. I've never used this at all." And I said, "Well, why are you freaking out? Don't you want to learn about how to do that?" And he said, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never actually looked at a security tool. All I know is how to write an application. I've written it correctly. I've done it for 8 years. It's fantastic. I've got it streamlined. I know what I'm doing, and now they want to throw security into it, right?" And so when you look at what developers and developer managers have historically been responsible for, it's really been that. No security, just looking at how to write the code, how to keep up with sprints, how to meet company goals, right? Get the software out on time. And every time we look at that, anything that slows that down causes a major problem, right? Even the managers, their goals are aligned to the company goals. Get the software out, get it done correctly. Developers like to solve problems. They don't like to put in new security systems. They don't like to put in new solutions. They don't like to learn new things because they already have a lot on their plate, right? And so when we look at security as a whole from an application security standpoint, the people that we have to rely on to understand and actually correct the underlying security problems are the ones that are the most overworked and overburdened. And so going back to my friend, I was talking to him and I said, "Well, have you actually taken any kind of training or have you been given any kind of tools?" And the answer is no. They just came in and said, "Hey, the security team, they want us to use these tools and they have to go with it." And I said, "Well, that puts you in a tough spot like anybody else. If you go to any job and one day, you've been doing the same thing for 8 years and one day somebody comes in and says, 'Tomorrow I'm going to need you to add this to your stuff, but I'm not going to give you any training, any know-how, any knowledge, any understanding on how to do it,' that's going to put you in a tough spot." And so what we really need to do is we need to start empowering those developers. Before we even get to fixing the flaws, before we even get to AI optimization and any of that stuff, we got to teach those developers, hey, these are the tools you can use to really understand how to go and actually fix those underlying security flaws, right? But again, there's all these competing goals with the development team. So how do you get them to actually understand, learn, and take that training? We have to make it so that we empower them. We have to use things that are going to make it easy and fun to learn. We have to, not sit them in front of a computer for 3 hours a day and force feed them information. And so that's where we start talking about one of our products we call Veracode Security Labs. And Veracode Security Labs, what it does is it takes that developer training and it takes it out of that traditional classroom. Takes it out of the traditional classroom, takes it out of that e-learning, and makes it into something fun and something that developers like to use, right? When we look at basically kind of what the landscape of flaws looks like, even now with everything that we've seen in terms of focus on security, focus on application security, focus on all this stuff, we're still seeing that 76% of those applications that are out there have some sort of flaw in them. That's a huge amount of flaws that are out there, and again, all that is kind of put on those developers' plates to actually fix. And again, as we go and look, this is just a really quick graph to show you the further along in that development process you get, the more expensive and more risky it is to fix it, right? So if the developers aren't looking for those things in the beginning, and they're waiting until the end of that SDLC to actually go and fix those problems, it just costs that much more. I like to equate it to, like a car engine. If you're making a car engine and you have a faulty part in the beginning and you ignore it and you let it get to the final process and you put it in the car, fixing that one little part in 1,000 cars is very difficult. As opposed to where if you had fixed that one part in the beginning, you would have saved a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy to do it. And so, again, training those developers, why is it important? Fix it from the start, right? It's easier, it's cheaper, it gives them more control over the process. You detect early, detect often, the cost to fix is lower, the time and money is not wasted, and it brings them into the security conversation from the beginning. So when we look at it again, I talked about a couple of these training methods. You can do in-person training. That's kind of boring sometimes. It can be tedious. Nobody wants to sit in a room for 2 days and be told, hey, this is how you secure something, right? You can do e-learnings, non-interactive. Watch a YouTube video, watch a regular video and answer some questions. And again, not super interactive, not really effective, but it can be used in certain scenarios. The thing that we're talking about from a security lab standpoint is the third one, which is interactive training. And this is really big because you've seen interactive training across multiple other arenas, right? If you go and take any kind of networking exam or some kind of infrastructure exam, there's a lot of labs that you can get into, a lot of virtual labs and stuff like that, where you can actually go manipulate with the hardware and things like that. You don't see a lot of that in development training. And so what Security Labs allows you to do is it allows you to make that training interactive. It reduces that tech debt. It helps the developers be involved. We do that through gamification, and so developers can go in there and really learn how to do secure coding with things like secure coding challenges. You can pit teams against each other. You can say Team A and Team B, you guys have X number of time to go and take all these challenges, and then whoever wins gets a pizza party, who knows. You can go through and do the secure coding challenge. You can do phone a friend. So it just makes the whole process of learning how to develop securely fun. And when we look at the actual statistics of what happens when you actually bring an interactive training program into your security conversation, we're finding that as you empower the developers and the more that they learn how to fix flaws earlier and the more that the developers are involved, if they've taken at least one course, that drops by 35% in terms of the time that it takes to actually fix a flaw. And so you go from basically improving your AppSec program by 35% of how quickly you can fix a flaw just by giving them one kind of training tool or technology. And so that's a huge way to do that, right? So, going back to kind of what we were talking about in terms of the developers. So we've gone through this process of, let's say you've implemented a training tool, you've trained them how to do it, you've gotten them in the process, they understand how to go and use the tools and fix the flaws. What we're still seeing after that is that even though you've trained the developers and even though they've become part of that process, we're still finding flaws in applications faster than developers can fix them, right? So you've got this great development team, they've gone through and they've done all the training, they understand how to do it, you've got your processes in place, the flaws are still gathering up. And that's because we just have this large, and in general, we have a large gap in terms of the amount of flaws that you're able to fix versus the amount of flaws that are out there. Going back to the earlier slide, 76% of applications have some sort of flaw. Those flaws need to be fixed, but you only have so much time to do them. And that's because remediation takes a long time. It's not a quick thing to do. It's not something that you can turn on tomorrow and have a developer that understands how to fix a flaw come and say, yeah, all right, I can fix all 4,000 of these flaws that we just found in our security scan yesterday. No problem, it'll take me 24 hours. Like, that will never happen. And so if you look at the chart on the far left, the average time it takes based on language is somewhere between 116 to 272 days to fix a flaw. And that incorporates finding it, understanding it, writing code to fix it, implementing it, bug testing it, making sure it goes out and that the application actually works afterwards. And so when you think about that, 76% of applications have a flaw. It takes, it takes months to a year to fix them, and there's a growing gap of flaws that developers need to fix and no time to fix it. Well, we start having this problem of how do we actually resolve that gap in that graph. And so we looked at that problem and we said, wouldn't it be really cool if we could release a product that can help a developer that understands security and to go and actually remediate the flaws for them automatically, right? So this isn't like when we're talking about open source vulnerabilities where all the vulnerabilities are known and it's basically pick a patch, put it in and let it go. We're talking about how do we actually take what a developer wrote, understand it, and create a fix for that specific problem and put it in the application in a way that the application continues to work. And so what Veracode Fix can do, right? Look, if you look at the current way you remediate a flaw. So you go through this, you get manual fix, you research it, you create a ticket, you triage it, you find it, et cetera. It takes a whole cycle to go and actually do a flaw fix. What Fix can do is it can shortcut everything from the finding stage all the way back to the manual fix. And so if you think about that development time, they no longer have to go through and look at, okay, well, we found the flaw, how do we actually remediate the flaw? What do we put in there to do it? How do I code it? How do I put it back into the software and test it? What Veracode Fix is an AI-assisted machine learning tool that we've developed that can actually go and fix those flaws for the developers themselves. And the way we do it is we do it through responsible AI, right? But you can't, there's a lot of chatter about ChatGPT and these other things, and there's other ways to go about doing an AI remediation. But our product has been built over years and years of research, understanding how development works, how applications are run, and how applications are actually designed. And we have built a custom-built AI system that can take your scan findings and build those actual fixes for the application. So again, not like other AI tools where you go out, you scan your code, and it's you and your billion of your closest friends that know all the stuff that you put in there. This is a proprietary closed-loop AI system built out of our own research that has that can allow you to actually really go there and remediate and fix your findings. Again, responsible data set training. It's not trained with customer code, but it can again provide all those fixes. And then again, just some quick statistics, right? We can. I won't read the chart to you, but you can see that with Fix, we can really help you to understand and find that and fix those vulnerabilities a lot quicker than you can with the regular dev process. And what that does is if we go back and look at that chart before where we had that huge tech debt gap, it helps developers to go in there and actually start closing that gap, right? Like if we have 1,000 flaws and our Fix solution can go in there and take care of 600 of them automatically or immediately, then you have a lot more time for the development teams to actually go through and focus on what's more important or the more important flaws that can't be remediated automatically. And so we think this is a game-changing product. We think it'll go a long way to really help developers understand not only how to do the code fixing themselves, but to really supercharge them and enable them to do it a lot faster, a lot quicker, and with the help of AI and machine learning. And that was really all I want to talk to you about. So I'll stop there, and we'll take questions if there's any questions.